I
All
Okay.
I guess we'll call the meeting to order at 6:04. And I don't know that we can take any votes. We can consensus, I guess.
Okay.
I guess we'll call the meeting to order at 6:04. And am I listening to that? I don't know that we can take any votes. We can consensus, I guess. I guess we'll the meeting to order at 6:04. And what's going on there? Am I listening to that? I don't know that we can. I'm listening to that. Take any votes. We can consensus. It's like it's on a loop.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess we can't.
You're looped, Bob.
You're crazy.
That's the fourth time.
What's going on there? I'm listening to that. Oh, I don't know. Let me
Wow.
see.
Where are you?
You're looped, Bob.
Looking.
That's the fourth time.
How about now? Yikes. Looking.
Uh-oh.
How about now? Yikes. Looking.
Uh-oh.
How about now? Yikes.
It's like a crank phone call. Mute me.
I'll mute myself. When we all muted, it got quiet. Thanks. Okay. We'll start the meeting again at 6:07, or there's not a quorum, so we'll just go through the agenda and the bid results for the record, and then we'll cross the how we want to proceed with the outcome of the bid opening. I did send out minutes. Oh, and hold on. Oh, Bobby. From the June 3rd meeting. I don't know, I'll just say this, I'll cover this under the minutes. The approval of the minutes is that, you know, we went back to the school committee and we talked about the stage 2 cost for the submittal, and based on the discussion, there was no vote or action taken. It was just kind of a consensus that we'll continue moving forward with the stage 2 submittal. So that was a good thing. I had a little bit of feedback on the minutes, but I made those corrections, so we can pick those up at the next meeting. For the, now I'm on to the agenda item, so that covered the minutes. That was one. Item number 2, summer 2020 capital projects, the Wawaloon bid in the Metcalf classroom safety bid. So I sent out the bid results. The Wawaloon boiler, there were 2 people who showed up at the pre-bid and bid on it. It was a close bid, 122 versus 125. Although when you look at the from Filch, you can see some of the exclusions and explanations. So, you know, he wasn't carrying the controllers or anything like that. So ATC does do all the district controllers. So that was, his notation was in the bid, in Filch's bid. But ATC, like I said, has done great work or good work in the district, great work on the Lynham boiler. So I don't have a problem awarding to them if we can, however we manage that. But if the consensus of the group is, would go to them based on just simply the low bid, would be fine. But I think they're qualified also. The Metcalf classroom safety, that was a surprise. I was, you know, in my head, I had, you know, like $40,000, but I think the architects work with the fire marshal, kind of came up with a low cost solution to what we were trying to achieve. And I think it showed up in the bid, you know, of $20,020.20 from Martone. And then the next bid was $95,000. So I'm not sure what they were looking at. But again, I have no experience with Martone. I don't know if anybody else has worked with them. But their references, they've done a ton of schoolwork. So
yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted. We've worked with them. We're currently working with them on 2 projects and have worked with them on a number of school projects, and they've been very good.
Good. So I guess we could push that up to, you know, let the rest of the committee know. And if I think for the Wawaloon boiler, it's definitely about lead time, ordering and lead time. I did like the fact that Dielson put in there, you know, I don't have it in front of me, but like, you know, 4 to 6 weeks upon, you know, approval, and then another 6 to 8 weeks time frame upon submittal. So I think it kind of gives you a timeline of what we're looking at, probably a couple of months to have product and work completed. And, you know, again, we're in the summer months. Steve, there's a second boiler there, so hot water is not going to be an issue. Approval.
There is a second boiler, and that's not an issue, but
time frame.
It would be an inconvenience if they were trying to do it when school was open.
A timeline of what we're looking at, probably a couple of months to have product and work completed. And the juice, Steve. So, yeah, got it. You, Steve, you're the looper.
And just unmuted mine, see if it's should be all right.
All right. So I think that's what we, yeah, I mean, John, you're the only really building committee member. I don't know how you feel one way or the other. If we just advocate moving forward with the low bidders, Lewis's work with Martone, and the district has worked with ATC. So
yeah, you guys used ATC before, so that sounds like it's be pretty good. They're a little bit anyway. Yeah. And you guys said Martone's done a lot of work on the school districts, and they're a lot cheaper. So
good. which kind of segues right into 3, the Stephen Turner. There's like look, I have some payments for them. Again, I don't have those right in front of me because my monitors are tied up, but they're typically, they invoice in like $200 increments. So we agreed to hire them as the commissioning agent on the boiler. They did a lot of work on developing the bid spec and helping with that in the project plan. So I want to get them paid. In just, ATC has worked with Turner. They did the boilers at Lynham. They worked pretty good together, I think.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I'll make those payments. And then discussion of capital project bond stage 2 application. So, I don't want to be an alarmist or anything, but, last night the towns rejected the budget, and so what ends up happening is we revert back to last year's budget, and the superintendent is not going to try and, he's going to revert to last year's budget, make the cuts, and then we're going to go forward. So it just shows to me, as an administrator in the district, it just shows that people are, a little skittish about, jumping off into big projects. Everything is in place with the summer projects. Once they're awarded and that work begins, every expectation is that Lewis and his firm are going to continue for the stage 2 submittal in September. The money's been allocated, so we know that we're good through the stage 2, and that's a commitment. But I just hope we don't run out of stamina, because what the building committee is really facing is a massive project at the high school with the HVAC, and it is not a project to be taken lightly. I just can't say it enough. When you work in trying to maintain the facilities, and I'm a step removed because Steve is really on the front line. It just kills us to throw $5,000 to $12,000 at a system that is just well beyond its life. And even with that kind of spend, and that's on like one fix. It can run anywhere from 5 to 12. And
just nursing the system along, spending money on it.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got 6 rooms with no HVAC in them at all, which is going to be, as I'm saying it, I hadn't really thought about it. It's going to be a problem this year because we can't move. Well, like, we've moved people out of those spaces, students and teachers, to go to other areas. Well, that's not even an option this year because real estate's a premium. So that's going to be a real problem. But even having said that, without getting editorial and long-winded here, I really think that the 17 million is I just hope that the towns can stay with us and we can make an argument, because that's as it sits right now, it's a $6 million project. And when they start getting into that, I just have a feeling that there's going to be some interior work to be done, once they get through the chases where the HVAC systems go.
How about as far as like air purification added to that HVAC? I mean, I know they're talking about it being in the malls and a lot of other stuff. That might be help us sell it if it's cleaner air, and so I don't know if they put HEPA filters on them or how that works. So maybe you'd have a little more info, but.
I will look into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point, John. You know, anything that Steve, you're in there twice. It's awesome. Anything that can help us sell that along the way, because, you know, I just look at it like, well, it scares me, to be honest with you, because you cannot win that argument. An environmental issue in a school, you just can't win.
Yep.
You cannot win that argument. Not that it's about winning the argument. Like there's just the solutions are not simple, and we're sitting on the precipice of you know, doing a really good thing, which, you know, that system has been in there for 30 years. 5 years, well beyond 5 years beyond its life. So anyway, hopefully the stamina stays there to see that through.
Can I just ask, so is the thinking still to go to a public voter referendum next spring 2021?
Yeah, if we do the September 12th, the September 20 stage 2, the assumption is that will get approved by RIDE, and then we would move forward with stage 3 and 4. And 4 is really building, right? It's when you start the building. The
right.
Construction.
Yeah. But I expected we're going to plan to do it over a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I suggest that it would be good if you could think of a way of making that happen faster. What we saw in today's bids, it's what's happening everywhere in the States. Prices are coming in a lot lower than expected, than estimated. And I think it's going to carry through to next year. I just don't, it wouldn't be good if we miss next summer's construction season by having an approval in April and not having enough time to get packages out for next summer.
So what are you thinking, Lou?
I don't know if with the voters in November would be a possibility of a referendum.
Well, we can bring that up in the next meeting. I'll put it as an agenda item, as like the timeline for the.
Yeah, it's so then I know that the House is coming back mainly to deal with the budget and to support enabling legislation for bond referendums in November. So they were afraid that none of the projects throughout the states that are being planned would be able to go forward if the legislation didn't come back to address that. So that's something that Exeter-West Greenwich would need to address. If possible at all to have November voter referendum, then you would need the enabling legislation this summer when the back just for that.
I think we probably get the best shot at getting it passed too in November rather than a special referendum.
You think there would be more support in a general election than the budget meetings?
That's tough to call. It depends on what happens with everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like who shows, like in the general election, a lot more people show up to the polls that never show up at an all-day referendum. And it just depends on how everything falls out, especially with what happened this week.
Yeah.
So I expect that we would hear back from RIDE with an approval in November. I don't know if then the other option is to have a special election for this, maybe in January.
Yeah,
would give us enough to have the summer packages ready for 2021 summer.
Yeah. Lou, has anybody ever used helicopters to take stuff off of the roofs?
I'm not sure about that.
I mean, those units are in a lousy freaking spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It sounds outlandish, but I don't know. I know cranes aren't cheap. Does anybody know what they get for a crane on site for the day?
I've used Green. I don't know if his machines are big enough now to do something like that, to get way above that roof. I mean, he typically wasn't bad, but I don't know if something like that would be big enough to handle that equipment.
You know what it is, John? They've got a boom way out.
Yeah.
They've got to go. I mean, that thing's got to go sky high to get, I don't know what you would call it, the angle of the dangle to get to the center of the buildings,
Yep.
It's just god awful design. Or they'd have to come up or look at coming up through the courtyard, but I don't know what the approach is through there either. But we could. That's just stuff I'm thinking about with that.
Yep.
So anyway. So, James, I know you joined us. I don't know if you saw the emails. We went through the bid openings today and we got the results.
I did get the email, but the end of my workday went sideways, which is why I was late. Sorry, everyone. So I haven't had a chance to look at the bid results.
Well, they came in very favorable for the district. The Boiler boiler, low bidder, ATC, they did the Lynham boilers for us. And they do work in the district with the controllers. That came in at 122,500, I think, which is a lot less than I thought. That's for sure. And then the safety project at Metcalf came in at $20,020. So two very nice projects for very, very good cost. So
that's not bad.
Yeah, I sent the documents. When you look at the boiler bid was very close. The next closest was 125. There were two bidders. Metcalf, 3 vendors showed up to the pre-bid, but only 2 ended up bidding. The one was 22,000 and the other one was 95,000. So, if you throw out the high and the low, we don't have a bidder. But
I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I don't know what I missed. Did you guys talk about that exchange Lee and I had at all about the Metcalf project and the 2 sides of the glass?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I just said that my comment was that the fire marshal and the architect came up with what proves to be a low cost resolution to it. And that's pretty much it. We had it, for the people on that weren't privy to the emails, it was, remove the glass. Damn. It was facilities guys. They're so much fun. It was remove the glass and put in a hard structure. Then it was leave the glass and encase it with gyp on either side. And then it was leave the glass and gyp only on the classroom side, which is what the fire marshal, eventually said that's how you should probably proceed. So.
I don't think the fire marshal would be against gyp on both sides. I assume it was done as a cost thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't part of that conversation. I know she was working with with Lou and his team. So
yeah.
Obviously, it is what it is. I guess we won't know till it's in place. But I've done a lot of work like this, and I can't imagine that's not going to look a little odd.
So if it's 20 for the one side, it might stand to reason it'd be 40 for both sides. And maybe we have Steve saying no. 45? I don't know, John, but if they did it on both, I mean, I guess my point is ask them to do one, the building committee looks at it and go, no, we want it. Two, give us a price.
Yeah, we can have a price as an option.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, now we can.
Okay, because I mean, if you do both sides, you're gonna have to take the glass out because there's not gonna be enough room to do everything and leave the glass in the center, which makes no sense. I mean, I think glass has to come out if they do both. If they just double up the sheetrock, I mean, you know, why are we even bothering? They paint the sheetrock before they put it up, and it looks fine.
Can I just interject? So let me just back up a little bit and say what we initially proposed was to remove the glass and put 2 layers of 5/8 fire coat, abuse resistant chipboard in its place. That inherently has 1 hour rate because a 1 hour wall has the same amount of chipboard on either side. However, when we reviewed it with the fire marshal, there was no UL tested assembly that matched that, meaning UL never tested just 2 layers of chipboard put together. She determined that we needed at least a half an hour rating. And so she suggested that we should leave the wire glass in and put the chipboard on the inside. So what we called for was to paint the back of the glass so that you wouldn't see the back of the chipboard and then install the chipboard. What Steve is saying is accurate. That glass is pushed forward towards the corridor side. So
correct.
If you leave the existing trim and then chipboard and then add another piece of trim to hold it in place, there won't be enough room.
Correct.
And we'll definitely not accept it without the glass being in place because that is a tested rated assembly. The other thing that I think saved the district money is that by leaving the glass in place, you don't deal with the asbestos abatement, which was found positive for some of the caulking around the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all makes sense. I'm not arguing about it. I just didn't know if you guys discussed it at all. And that actually makes more sense now because I thought, and I could be wrong, that in one of the emails that was exchanged, somebody said we were painting the back of the chipboard, not the back of the glass, which made no sense to me.
No,
I thought it was a chip, but it just the glasses.
Yeah,
probably makes sense.
Yeah, doesn't really.
Anyway, what else? I mean, I guess we don't. I don't know if we had to vote on anything, but I guess we can't.
No. Yeah,
we got to really get going on the boiler part of it, though.
Yeah, when you look at the bid tab, Filch laid out what is conditions and I don't know expectations or whatever it was, but it was basically a 4-week lead time on submittals and then 6 to 8 weeks upon receipt of the stuff. So that's 2 months out. So we want to get them moving, I think, sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what we're looking for. I mean, I'd happily vote yes, but if we don't have enough people to do it.
Yeah. So then that's the other part of this whole we could, you're as the chair, we could definitely say, in John being here, just the experience we've had with the vendors, in the low bidder that we recommend the rest of the committee consent to going forward. In the ATC bid, which is the boiler, which I think is the big one, they said that they'll proceed with a letter of intent. So
that's good. That's what I was going to suggest, that on both of these cases, you send them a letter of intent to award. We'll do the scope review tomorrow with them, and then they could start at least getting the submittals together.
right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? Yeah, he had Filch had 3 to 4 weeks for submittal, 6 to 8 weeks after submittal approval. So what's that? 4 and 8, that's 12. So he's pushing September, late September. Just kind of as a benchmark. You can do that. I'll issue a letter of intent to proceed upon scope review.
Sure.
That sounds
Okay.
good.
So then it would be just setting set a meeting date. Next meeting.
Of course, I don't have my calendar in front of me. Lewis, when do we need to meet and hopefully get more people this time?
Yeah. You're muted, Lou.
Sorry about that. I will get a sense of that when we do the scope review tomorrow, and I can send an email around. I think that they'll feel comfortable for 2-3 weeks going forward, but once they start scheduling the work, I think they would need an award letter.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the other thing, is like, technically they're two distinct committees. It's like a report to the school committee as the overall governing body, but we're kind of on our capital. The building committee has the right to award and to they typically they establish the building committee, and then the building committee, per charter, can award and hire people to do the work, so that's going to become really important to get that whole governance structure down as we move forward with, if we move into the 17 million. I'm not saying we wouldn't keep them aware, but there may be times where we need to, the building committee has to go, but if we wait till, if we issue the letter of intent to award, what will they do with that, Lou? Will they start gearing up, creating submittals and everything?
They'll start working on the submittals and they'll schedule the work. So for the boiler, the submittals is a big thing. They'll move forward with that. For Metcalf, I think they'll schedule the work.
Right. And they could get going, they could deploy relatively quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, that works a lot less intense than the boiler.
You think they're going to prefab outside or on site? So there's 34 classrooms or so.
Yeah.
And
I would think that they would field verify, get all the dimensions, do a schedule, and pre-cut everything, and then bring it to the site.
And just hang it and bang it and go.
It's so standard.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That one I see is them in and out of there, which really isn't a bad thing, because Metcalf is not going to look like it does in September. It's not going to look like it does right now. That's for sure. You know, and there's going to be a lot of foot traffic around there in the next 8 weeks. But we'll work around them. That's not an issue.
So Louis and Bob, do you want to send us out an email like when you think you'd want to meet to have an award vote after tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll put it on, you know, belts and suspenders. I'll put it on the school committee agenda for the 14th. That's not too far off, to be honest with you, as far as the crow flies. We'll do the letter of intent. They'll work on the submittals. I mean, let's face it. I mean, between Friday and probably next Tuesday, it could even stretch into the week. 4th of July is typically slow, you know, that period. So I think the 14th, as just bring it to the school committee as a consensus of the present members, let everybody know, and award. And then we can pick the date. So when I put those thoughts on paper, I'll share them with you, James.
Sure.
All right. The only other thing, Lou, maybe you can talk to us, like, what does the committee need to be doing around the stage 2 submittal till September? Like, do we need to, will we just continue to cover that on the agenda item as the summer project?
Yes, I think
become more work.
I think that would be fine. What we need to do with the district, so we need to meet and just review everything that we're doing. One of the biggest decisions is the location of the proposed greenhouse. And so that's something that we need input from the building committee, make sure that we're going down the right road with that. The rest of it is pretty straightforward.
Okay. So I would just put this out there for entertainment, is when the building committee looks at the greenhouse, you know, maybe it's later in the month, Lou, so that we can get, as James said, more members there, and the meeting could be at the library. We did a school committee meeting last night. We were distance spaced. It was fine. And then we could walk out and actually see the site and kind of get people like, this is what we're up against, folks. You know, this is what we're trying to do. And then maybe, you know, even just for a visual, you know, point to them where, hey, this is where we are. And that's where the HVAC stuff is, where you can't see it, you know, just to help people get a frame of where we are with these projects.
I can bring them on the roof.
Yeah, no thanks. There's not enough workers' comp. You would bankrupt workers. You'd bankrupt the workers' comp insurance provider. Not enough property and liability.
Maybe we could use that helicopter to take an overview of it.
I only say that because they use the helicopters to put in ski lifts.
I know. They use them for a lot of things.
Those guys freaking move, man. So you get all those units freed up.
Yeah.
They would do that pick in one day. They'd have those 13 units off in one day.
That's going to be the problem with the cranes. We're going to have it back and forth. And we're going to spend lots of money just getting the cranes back and forth, because we're not going to be able to do it all in one day. I don't believe. There's too much movement of the cranes.
Well, you chatted with me, and that courtyard is full of drainage too.
Yes.
So, anyway, we can cross that. We can fly that helicopter when we get close to it. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Do a mock-up.
That's a good idea.
That's all I got. That's it.
All right. Well, let me know when you want to meet next, and we'll set it up.
All right.
Good.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry I was late. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. So, thanks, Jeremy. All right.